We're making the tessellating windmill, and there's some magic in this. So when you cut 4 pieces like this, it doesn't look like a windmill, does it? But just watch. If I move this piece up, and this piece up, and these pieces over, oh, I know you're thinking that looks like a shell game, aren't you? Because all of a sudden, there's the windmill. So we've got all the right pieces. They're all cut on the correct grain line so that when they're done, they're still all going to go straight up and down. So stay tuned or come back in just a few minutes and see how the magic works. I'm Marti Michell. I want to tell you about our new tessellating windmill. I'm so excited about it. You know, this is the quilt. See the windmills? Aren't they fun? You know, it looks like, I bet you think you know how to make it, but stick with me because I think you'll be surprised. We cut all of the pieces before we sew anything with very little waste, and all the edges end up on straight grain. We have a multiple size tool. That's even the best part. With one tool, you can make quilts where the blocks are 8 sizes from 2 inches finished to 9 inches finished. It's all very versatile, all one tool. Now, the way we start, I'm just going to give you a little tease on this, is that we will, I selected a layer cake set. And of course, one of the nice things about layer cake is they're all coordinated. But I like a scrappy look, so I've created kind of a light, dark, light, dark. Now, these are 10-inch squares. So if I laid them out great big, it would take almost a room. So I just started up here and laid them out overlapping. And I'm going to do 5 rows of 5 blocks of 5 windmills, and then we add a built-in border. It's not even a big deal if I decide I want to rearrange, and of course we always do after they're laid out, don't we? I think I'd rather have this red up here. Well, it's not a big deal. I'm just going to pull these back. I'm going to trade places. Well, why don't you get yourself a cup of tea while I finish this? Come right back. Thanks so much for coming back. I'm sorry, I just couldn't wait. I've already cut row 1. I had stacked all 5 blocks for each row, and then I like to true them up. Even though they're the same size, I want them exactly the same size, and I want to get rid of that funny little pinked edge. So these were 10-inch blocks, 10-inch squares of fabric, and I'm actually going to trim this down to about to exactly 9.5 inches. I've laid my blocks out so that my lengthwise grain is what I call north-south, and because the instructions on our tool say that the starting block should be 1.5 inches bigger than the finished block, I can do it in reverse. I'm going to have a 9.5 inch square of fabric, and my finished square, which has actually 4 different pieces in it, my finished square will then be 8 inches. So I've rotated that 180 degrees. I'm going to cut off 2 more edges. The reason I like to do this is because we cut all of our pieces first, and so there will be no truing up later. You remember that our tessellating windmill can be used to cut 8 sizes from 2 inches to 9 inches finished. I'll be using the line for the 8-inch, and I just line that line directly up on the corner. This is a great place for your rotating mat. Cut, cut. I'm going to pull that away just to make sure. It's okay to go beyond the notch, and then we do have an engineered corner so that if you trim that little, pull this template back up and trim that corner, when you get ready to line up the pieces, there's no dog ears sticking over. I do want to keep track that this is my lower right corner, so I'm actually just going to pin this little note on the top piece of that, and I'll always know this is row 2, the top piece, the lower right corner. Now, you're just going to keep going. Every piece is exactly the same size, so we're just going to line up that 8-inch corner line again. Cut, cut, nub, rotate, cut. You can see how fast this goes. In addition to my stacks of blocks of fabric for the blocks, you might have noticed I've got another stack of fabrics here. They are the ones for the built-in border. And I need one for every vertical row, one square, the same size as this, one square for every horizontal row, and one square for the corners. Now, you don't really need to worry about the instructions. They're all right here. But it's always kind of nice to see how this works. Oh, let me cut one more so you can see how little scrap there is. And then I'll finish cutting and we can talk about, look at that. That's all the scrap there is. I'll finish cutting and then I'll show you how we arrange them so that we chain piece this quilt. It almost makes itself. Hi, I'm Marti Michell, and we're to the best part of making the tessellating windmill, because it's kind of a surprise at first, and then once you do it, you go, so easy. I love it. I love it. You know, we were cutting 10-inch blocks earlier, but for the sake of having something that we can actually see on the table, I've moved to a sample of only 3-inch blocks and only 3 windmills by 3 windmills. Now, we call it a 3 by 3, but you'll see when you actually add the built-in border that there are 4 rows of blocks. But for now, we've cut all of our stacks of rows, and here they are, row 1, row 2, and row 3, the sets of 4 pieces for every windmill. And they're stacked up so that the 3 rows are horizontal rows are together. Now remember that we wanted to try to get to be able to see the windmill, and that we found if we lifted these, this is where we say we're playing leapfrog. So we're going to leap those bottom pieces of every row to the top of every row. You begin to see half of a windmill. Raise that up. Now, well, they're missing the bottom and the top, aren't they? Remember the built-in borders? We cut those pieces too. So here I have as many as there are vertical rows, top and bottom, but I still can't see a windmill. I really want this piece over here so that I can see that windmill. But I'm not going to move it. No, 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 no. Instead, here's the trick. I need a left border, so if I just put a new piece on top of every one of these that is the border fabric, whoops, and there we go, And there we go. And one on the corner. Remember, we cut for the corner. I've got half a windmill, and now I've got more pieces. This is the right border. Now, where am I going to put it in order to get a windmill? If you said, put those new pieces, if you're yelling at me, put the new pieces on the bottom, get yourself a dish of ice cream, because you are so right. When we put this piece on the bottom all the way down, we've actually played leapfrog in the other direction. You just can't tell it yet. So I'm going to finish that later. Meanwhile, I'm going to tell you how we sew. This is our new row 1, and we're going to take these pieces to the sewing machine. Okay, I'm just going to lift up just like a 4-patch. I'm going to lift up the top piece of each pile, sew. Top piece of the bottom pile, sew. Top piece again, and I'm going to have a chain that looks like this. It's not squares on top of each other, but you can see right here the two pieces, top pieces of the border. I'll nip those apart in pairs and fold them together just like a 4-patch. And because I've kept track here of what row I'm on, and I just line those up and stitch them. Looks like 4 patches, doesn't it? Except they're just a little skewed. Nip those apart, and when I sew them together, this is the first row, and when I just sew that first row together, you're still just a little nervous because you can't see a windmill. But guess what happens when you add the second row? There you go. You can see the windmills. These always need to match in order to be the windmill. Now, it's a bit of a surprise that every square has 4 different fabrics. First you go, oh, that can't be right. But it's right, it works, you'll love it. And when you're done, you're done. There's no scrap, there's no truing up. You're just ready to layer and quilt and have a good time with your tessellating windmill. I bet you know 10 people already you want to make one for. I'm Marti Michell. Please enjoy the From Marti Michell multiple size tessellating windmill. Makes 8 sizes with the same template.
And we're rolling.
Oh, guess what I'm doing? I've told you over and over that the tessellating windmill is a multiple size tool. We can make 8 sizes with one tool. But you know, some days 8 is just not enough. When I wanted to use this on a charm pack, all of a sudden I wanted a 3.5 inch finished block. So I just take the tool, I put it on my regular ruler, and thank goodness we have sticky notes, because now I'm just going to mark halfway between the 3 inch and the 4 inch. I'm going to put a sticky note down there. There it is. And now, I guess instead of 8 sizes, it's 16 sizes you can make with one tool. And here's my new corner. It's not a bad idea just for being able to see the corner of any size. I hope you'll enjoy the From Marti Michell Tessellating Windmill. I'm Marti Michell. Thanks for watching.